third sorrow of the Virgin Mary is the loss of the child Jesus in the temple. In the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 2, verse 41, we read that the Virgin Mary and St. Joseph went to Jerusalem every year for the feast of Passover. And when the child Jesus turned 12, he went with them to Jerusalem to worship in the temple. Now, when they came back, the child Jesus remained in Jerusalem. And St. Joseph and the Virgin Mary traveled in a caravan, typically with family and friends. So they didn't realize for an entire day, because they thought he was somewhere else with the families, traveling with them, but not together with them. However, at the end of the day, probably when they got together and gathered in groups to spend the night, they actually realized that Jesus was not with them. So we can imagine the great anxiety that the Virgin Mary must have gone through, the suffering and the sadness of realizing that God had entrusted to her the Messiah, the one who redeemed Israel, the one prophesied in the Old Testament through the prophets. And now she had lost him seemingly through her own negligence. So they kept looking for him, and they had to go back to Jerusalem. And after 3 days, they found him in the temple. So we sometimes may go through the same thing of losing Jesus, like the Virgin Mary, but losing him maybe through sin, maybe through our lukewarmness, maybe through our negligence in treating others, our lack of charity, and distancing ourselves little by little, more and more from Jesus Christ. However, Jesus is always near to us. He's in the Blessed Sacrament. We can find him through confession, through prayer, in the Gospels, and especially in our neighbor. So if you ever lose Jesus Christ through sin, through negligence, or through some weakening of your spiritual life, you should try to seek him out eagerly, with the same eagerness of the Virgin Mary. Seek him out in confession, in the Blessed Sacrament, in Holy Mass, in prayer, in the Gospels, and in charity toward your neighbor. Jesus should always be your greatest treasure. Jesus should be actually your only treasure. And if you ever lose him, you should not stop seeking him out until you find him. May God bless your day.